Usually when I push out a new major numbered update, I make some crazy trailer that I put way too much time into. However, I unfortunately have no time to make a video, as holy shit, this took like 4 months. Half of the physical skills in the game have been modified. A lot of changes to SP costs, accuracy, support skills have been tweaked a little bit. Damage across the board has been touched. I mean, elemental damage is back to what it used to be pre 3.0. Almighty damage now is typically more, with the exception of Megado, because I don't know why they decided to make that one move good. The player wouldn't have the available resources to maintain a status effect build, because they would have to get an early persona that had one of these status effect moves, and then they would be forced throughout the game to keep passing those skills on because they were only on early game personas. So what I've done is I've taken a lot of the single target spells and a lot of the higher effect rate all target spells, and what I've done is I've pushed them on plenty more personas so that status effect builds are actually encouraged. The issue with fusion spells in Persona 3 Fez in particular, is I think there's a lot of really cool concepts with what they've done. The animations are very flashy, even if they do take, forever to use. But the biggest issue is the high cost to reward ratio is just not it at all. And so what I've done here is I've instead tweaked the risk to reward to using these moves so that you have much more encouragement to either A, grinding up to get them in the first place. These skills are not relatively easy to get, and yet they cost either way too much or they just aren't good enough to validate using. So what I've done is I've gone back and I've tweaked costs, I've increased how much they do. Dreamfest is completely retooled. I think the issue with Dreamfest was just it was blatantly overpowered. If you never use Dreamfest, I really pity you, because that move was so damn broken it wasn't even funny. The effect may not make sense and the name may not make sense either, but I wanted to give an alternate use here that was still tactically viable yet didn't break the game. So now it's a full party debilitate, but it costs 35% of your SP. So you'll only be able to use it twice before you have to refill. However, that you only may need to use it twice. With the Persona 3 protagonist, you have a massive SP pool that if you're using a physical build, you're not going to touch most of it. So what I've done is I've tweaked Scarlet Havoc and Shadowhound so that you have an alternative to digging into your HP pool if you want to use these moves instead. They're now they stack up pretty damn well with the rest of the physical skills in this game, and their damage numbers are actually quite impressive compared to a lot of other alternatives. I love this dog. If you want to see the video, sadly, I do not own this video, but you can check the patch notes. Thanatos has been completely redesigned. He is now a physical-based persona. I feel that most of the endgame personas typically lean toward magic, and the few that lean toward physical skills tend to pale in comparison. So what I've done is I've basically created the ultimate physical persona. Got some new skills. Most of these are party member exclusive because I had a lot of time on my hands, but none to make a video. Starting off with Twilight, it is a Yukari exclusive move that doubles ailment susceptibility to all opponents, and it also lowers their evasion. In conjunction with how Persona 3's accuracy typically is, this is a very good move, but no, evasion down is a must-have in the answer, and I think Twilight's going to give you a new edge with this character. Mitsuru now has Energy Drain. It's just a beefed up version of Spirit Drain. Koromaru has this new move called Fleetfoot. It gives you Sukukaha to all allies and also casts Reipatra. It also has a funny little animation quirk. Every time he uses it, I think you're going to like it. Ken has 2 new critical skills, Retribution and Resolve. Retribution is learnt first, and then Resolve replaces it later on. They are party-only versions of Rebellion and Revolution. And finally, Shinjiro has innately a physical almighty move. It does less damage than Fatal End, or rather it does less damage than Fatal End after the balance patch, but it's still a very, very reliable option for a character that often struggles to deal damage in certain fights. Door of Haze is Thanos exclusive. It has a 60% insta-kill rate, and it does some fun damage numbers. I think you're going to like using this move. Enemies, when it came to New Moon 3.0, I was very happy with how I designed a lot of the bosses. I think the physical changes, for the most part, make the game a lot better. Keeps you on your toes consistently, especially throughout endgame, because the damage numbers increase as you level up, and as you level up, the game tends to get easier. That's how it is with most SMT games. But with Persona 3, I think that outside of certain cases, it worked. However, there were certain cases, and this right here is really the certain cases in particular. They now have variants of the buff moves that do just as much damage as they used to do. The stat point readjustment. The 4 characters that you start with, which is Yukari, Akihiko, Ken, and Metis, for whatever reason, they have 40 less points in their stat total than Mitsuru, Junpei, and Koromaru. As a result of this kind of creates an imbalance that when I was redesigning these characters, the imbalance no longer needed to be there. So I've given all of these characters specific level-by-level stat changes. And this took forever. This is why this patch took so damn long, was because if I can scroll down to the bottom of this page, here's the resource that I used to track all of the individual levels. And then the modified bases. And I also did something smaller for the journey. I gave everyone an extra 10 points in the journey, because the main reason was I wanted to, like, tweak Yukari. And I was like, well, if I do that to Yukari, I do everyone else, so that's basically it. The party member changes make up by far the biggest amount of the update, and if I were to try to explain them without any visuals, I don't think I'd be able to do it properly. So really, this is the part of the video where I tell you, please just read the patch notes. I put so much damn effort into these charts after every update that you're doing yourself a real disservice if you're not looking at them. I highlighted, man. There's bold text. It looks nice. It looks excellent even. You know, I mean, if making awesome-looking Google Sheets was a job, I would get paid at least $5 an hour. I'd make more money than right now. It'd be great. So yeah, you just gotta check the patch notes, really. But I will say the biggest shakeups were likely Ken and Koromaru once again. There's a lot of AI changes. I don't want to go over them, all of them, but healing AI has been tweaked. So that is much more likely for a party member to use a multi-target spell over a single target spell. And I mean, frankly, there's just a lot of optimization here. I just wanted to make it cleaner. I wanted to make the AI concise and well working, and I think I've done that very well here. And finally, there's some aesthetic changes, but really that is about it. I don't know if I'm gonna... I really don't know if I'm gonna update the project again after this. I'm really happy with how far I came with this. And I've wanted to make a project that I can enjoy personally, that I can personally play, sit down and have fun with. And I think this checks all the boxes. I'm very thankful for everything I was able to accomplish, and I'm very grateful for all the support I've received along the way. So I just want to say thank you, and I really hope you enjoy this as much as I do.